It's about time for the AliExpress sale, one of the biggest sales of the year, the big sale of the summer, as it were, I guess. And so, you know what? I'm going to be traveling a lot, and because I want to find a place that's outside of America to live as soon as possible. And I thought this is a really good time to stock up on some portable gaming devices and, other things to make my trip a little bit better. So we get to talk about this. We can come on over here. I've got this stuff going to shop now. Yes. Summer carnival sale. Yes. A lot of times I know what I want, but I'll wait and see what's going to happen during the summer sale, because not only can you find things up to 90% off, but you're also going to get an additional coupon. So for orders over $30, you can use Tech9. So use Tech9 when you're grabbing up this Emulation console or whatever else, and you'll get $9 off. Now, if you're going to spend over $100, just put in Tech25 and you'll get $25 off. So not only are you getting the good sale, you're also going to get more off using our code. Despite the distance, these items showed up at my door in just a few days, and new users get free shipping. There's free returns. A lot of the items have free shipping anyway, so you got a lot of choices, a lot of good prices, and you get that free shipping. The coupon codes and the links are all going to be in the description, so head down there and check it out. All right, we're going to take a look at the TrimUI Smart Pro. Now, this is, let's just go ahead and get it out of the way. This is the coolest of its price range and probably of its size range, but yeah, definitely the coolest in this price range. And that's because it has a beautiful 4.9, it's just, can they just call it a 5-inch screen? It's a 5-inch widescreen IPS display. It's beautiful, it's bright, it's big. It plays a lot of different games. So I don't think the specs are as important, but we'll cover them because a lot of people, they don't know this. What's an all-winner A133 Plus? Well, it's a Cortex A53 quad core, of course, running at 1.8 gigahertz, slightly faster than some of the Ambernic products on the market that are in the same price range. We've got the PowerVR GE8300 GPU running at 660 megahertz. Got your IPS screen and a 5,000 milliamp hour battery that has been lasting all day. They say 5 hours. I've been using it on and off I've probably used it more than that, but I've been messing around in the menus. So yeah, we got mood lights on the joystick. Hey, how about that? And then Type-C charging. It's a 5-volt 1.5 amp, so it'll charge up pretty quickly. As far as the buttons go on the actual unit, it's pretty standard fare. I mean, we're at a spot right now where you got to have your D-pad, you got to have the 2 analog sticks, and then you got to have the 4 face buttons. This one is YBXA. On the top, we've got L and R 1 and 2, and the back L and R do not feel like they're analog at all. Then we've got volume, power, and a menu button. On the bottom, you have a function toggle, and then you have your DCN, plus micro SD card and headphone jack. Now, what's really interesting about this is the function button allows you to go into the software and set certain functions. What does that mean? Well, there's all kinds of different functions you can set. The only thing I have set is just a little CPU boost. And that's mainly going to be for playing the fancier games like PSP. So let's talk about what it can play, and then I'll talk about the firmware because it's a custom firmware on top of RetroArch, and then we'll talk about the games that it came with because I'm sure there's going to be somebody in the comments who's going to have a whole bunch of problems with all the games that are pre-installed on this device, and then they're going to go and pirate those exact games and put them on this device. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it because it does come with a bunch of games, but it's like I'm going to put all these games on there anyway. Anyway, in the back end, we've got RetroArch, and that's just kind of hanging out there. Don't mess with it. And then on top of that, they've got their own firmware called Tomato, yeah. But it's interesting because it's not like the other firmware. It's like made for this device. And I kind of like that. It's not quite as nerdy as some of the firmwares out there, but it really works. And if you get into a game, you can always press the menu button, go down to your advanced menu, and then you're right there in the RetroArch menu. You can go to your quick menu and change settings. This will play games with some CRT filters, which, who knows if you need it for a little screen like this, but it's kind of cool to have the CRT filters while you're playing. And another thing, most games, other than like your PlayStation, N64, and the really demanding games, most of your games, like your Super Nintendo, and TurboGrafx 1632X, Sega, most of those games, you can actually turn look-ahead latency on. So you'll be able to add 1 or 2 frames of latency into this. I didn't really experience much latency while I was playing, but I turned it on for Super Nintendo games and some of the games that I really want to make sure that they're super accurate while I'm playing. You get all your different consoles right here and some noises. And I noticed that there was one console that was not there, and I was like, why is it not there? And that's DOS. So I actually made a DOS. Let's see here. There it is. I made this. I took a picture of a Gravis gamepad, made a little DOS thing, and it works. It actually works. You have to go in and edit the configuration files yourself. DOSBox Pure was already on the device They just hadn't made a menu entry for it. So I made the menu entry. I'll make that available. You can download that so you can put DOS games on here. And if it's a DOS game that works with a controller, it'll just work. So this is good for up to some N64. Pretty much all your PlayStation is going to run just fine, and some PSP and some Dreamcast. Now it's going to be hit or miss depending on what you're playing. You do have some individual configuration options, and with the newest version of this firmware, you have Vulkan support. So that'll help a little bit for some of the more demanding games. And then there's also a performance option mode, and you can also turn on that CPU boost. So I found most PlayStation games that I tried were just fine. N64 games were mostly fine. There was a few glitches here and there. You can also choose a different emulator. So if there's a game you want to play and it doesn't run really well on a certain emulator, so you got your N64 games right here, well, I'm going to press the X button and that'll bring up a menu. And now we have two emulator options. We can play this with MuPen, or we can play this with Parallel N64. And you'll have to do this every single time you open up the menu, but that's pretty easy just to go to the game, press X, pick your emulator, and then go. And the cool thing about that is, like I was just saying, if you have something that's like, maybe there was a game that had some artifacts or something, or it just wasn't working very well, try the other emulator. And if you're playing something like Super Nintendo, you may have 4 or 5 emulator options because this thing is loaded with emulators. It's got pretty much everything on it. So yeah, you'll have your options when it comes to picking what's going to be best for each individual game. The main thing for me about this thing is just that the screen is so beautiful. Games that are widescreen, like PSP games and stuff, well, of course they're going to look good, but you can also, hack some N64 games and stuff to run at like native 720p resolutions, and they'll actually output 3D 720p. It's not going to stretch or anything. It'll work, and you can do that with Ocarina of Time and some other games. I like playing a lot of those in 4x3 because that's what they were designed for, and I don't like looking around edges. It makes it feel more correct. But you do you if you want to, upgrade it. So that's going to be the handheld. My only gripe about this is I wish it had HDMI, because this is powerful enough to just be able to plug into a TV or whatever and then have a couple Bluetooth controllers and just use it. Or someone could use this as their controller and then plug it up through HDMI on TV, but that's not that big of a deal. I'm not going to be doing that on a Shinkansen or on a plane. I'm going to be using this with headphones, of course. I want to say in their UI that they developed for this, the save and load system is ridiculously easy. You just hit the menu, click on save, and then you have screenshots and you have 10 save slots so you can make multiple different quick saves. Really nice save system here. And I don't think you're going to find a better device at this price range. You do have the 128 gigabyte card. If you want to put every PlayStation game and PSP game, you'll have to probably swap them in and out, but that'll pretty much hold your entire other library. All right, next up, let's talk about some controllers. Because sometimes on long flights, maybe I just want to kick back and open up my tablet and play a PC game. And that's where this is going to come in. This is the 8BitDo Ultimate Bluetooth controller. I believe that's what they call it. Yeah, the Ultimate Bluetooth controller. And this is for Switch and Windows. And this is super premium. This is not like, a cheap Mad Catz or something like that. It's like they got together and like, hey, let's make third-party controllers and let's be the opposite of what Mad Catz used to be. Let's make controllers that are as good or better than the original controllers. So we have Hall analog sticks right here, and that means that there are no touching parts on the inside here. It's all I believe it's magnetic, electric. They basically use magnets and electrodes to sense how far away things are, and that means that they're going to last a lot longer and there will be no drift whatsoever. So you'll never have to worry about any analog drift on these controllers, which is kind of crazy that we still have analog drift on controllers as new as like the Switch and stuff. That was solved way back in the Dreamcast days. That Dreamcast controller, it had analog sticks like this. So if you pick it up nowadays and you're like, wow, this Dreamcast still really, really works and it works perfectly. Well, that's going to be a similar experience right here. This should last a very, very long time. Now, it feels a lot like an Xbox controller in your hand. The button layout right now is like Nintendo because it's for the Switch, which I kind of like because my brain just works that way. I'm not an Xbox person. Got several buttons here on the front, plus minus, got the star button and then the menu button. You can map these things, which is nice. We have USB charging here and also USB charging on the base station. Now get this, this is 3 different modes. You can plug it in wired, you can do Bluetooth, or you can do 2.4 gigahertz wireless. which is interesting because Bluetooth is what you're going to use for a lot of things, but the 2.4 gigahertz, you can use that on your PC. It's lower latency than Bluetooth. I mean, ultimately, wired is going to be the best, but that gives you a really cool option. And we have a switch on the back that'll let you switch between the 2.4 and the Bluetooth. And then the USB is going to be in your base. The L and R buttons are really satisfying. And then the L2 and the R2 are analog, and they've got some nice resistance, so it feels really good. And then of course we also have our paddle buttons back here on the back, R3 and L3, and it all feels like it's in a pretty good spot. For reference, my hands are not huge. I can barely palm a basketball, so for my size they're considered small because I'm 6'3.5" or 194 centimeters, but it fits really well. It's not a huge controller, so it's not the Duke or anything. Above and beyond all that, we do have some motion sensing technology on the inside, so it's a really high quality controller. This feels like a first party controller. In fact, I think it feels a little bit better than this controller. It's a little more substantial. It's almost the same shape and size, but I think it might feel 10% better than this controller. So I'll be using this when I'm playing Switch even here at home. And that's the 8-bit Do Ultimate Bluetooth controller. But I'll be using that on the plane with my tablet, and it's going to be awesome. I'm like kind of excited to travel now because it's like I'm always busy when I'm home, and I'm always getting bombarded by stuff, and there's always something else I need to do. But on a plane, I can't. I have to sit there. And I'm actually looking forward to sitting there now that I have like this and the gaming devices. I can like just chill and play a game. It's going to be awesome. Now, there are some times when I need a keyboard, and I thought, why not have something about this size that becomes a keyboard with a touchpad? There we go. It opens up. It's cool. This is Bluetooth. In order to connect the Bluetooth, you hold on Function and Tab for 3 seconds, and then it'll connect. And it feels good. There's poppy little chiclet keys. This thing is very well made. Like, it doesn't feel flimsy or anything. It feels great. So this is going to be a nice little addition because sometimes you want to lean back, and like I said, if you have a tablet or whatever, I'm just not going to plug up the screen. I'll just have this because it's small, and I'll be able to like lean back in my chair and type on this. And then if I need to get up or something, I'll just fold it, put it aside, and then get up. It's going to be much easier. And this is also great for like, testing out little computers or whatever. This is a super handy Bluetooth keyboard. Just nice to have around. But I love the way this thing folds up. Touchpad feels fine. I'm not a huge fan of touchpads, but the clicks are satisfying and it works. It does the job. Probably use a Bluetooth mouse as well. I don't have too many things. I'm always having too many things. But yeah. Anyway, this charges with USB-C. So that's also nice. I'll be able to charge everything with USB-C. Everything's USB-C nowadays. But yeah. Now, I was supposed to be testing out a purple Ambernick. The purple ones are 4% faster. Did you know that? I really wanted to test this out as well. It has a smaller screen, but it has the HDMI output, which I could hook up to my tablet if I needed to. And this should be similar, maybe a tiny bit slower than the TrimUI. But I wanted to try this one as well because I know the name brand Ambernick. But after I got the TrimUI, I'm very sold on this. I'm probably going to grab a case for it as well because, yeah, I really like this one. Also, the aesthetic of it, yes, indeed. So grab that while you can get it for a really good discount. Now, the difference in getting it with and without the memory card means getting it with and without games. You can fill it up with your own ROMs. So it's like, do you want them to fill it up or do you want to fill it up? And then how do you feel about that? I know a lot of people have ethical concerns, I guess, about these 30, 40-year-old games that are pretty much impossible to buy on Nintendo's store and stuff. I'm having a hard time caring about it. Like, it's good, it works, I like it. It's got games on it. I was going to put games on it anyway. I'm actually formatting a 512 gigabyte card to put in here right now. That's what's happening in the other room. So when I'm done here, I'm going to just load it up with a whole bunch of my own games. And if you want tutorials on this, like how to make your own menus like I did and how to add new emulators, maybe you want a Project Neko or whatever it is that plays the... Is that the one that plays the PC98 games? Yeah, if you want to know how to like get that on here, maybe we could do videos on that. And then use a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse or whatever. Don't forget, we've got the coupon code TECH9, $9 off orders over $30, and TECH25 for $25 off orders over $100. All that information is in the description. And if anybody gets, I'm really curious about this. If anybody gets one of these, let me know. Like, how is it? I don't want to get one that is a Lego, like a ripoff or whatever. I want to get one that's like its own creation. Do they have one that's like its own creation? I don't know if this is a Lego or not. But if anybody gets one of these, let me know how it is. Maybe I'll get one of those too. That'd be cool to have in the background. It can hang out over here with the Pirates of Barracuda Bay thing right there. Hope you enjoyed watching. Let me know if you have any questions about this in particular, but I can't wait to travel now. So I'll see you in the comments. Bye, everybody. It's not actually Aquafina. I would never buy Aquafina. I found this in a ditch and then filled it up with tap water. Germs are our friends. That's the American way.